Is there sort of a market, or more importantly, appetite for that sort of short sellers playbook, a playbook that you made famous? And it just doesn't seem like there are sort of new Chanoses coming around the corner in this space anymore. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I you know, after 45 years, I don't wish that on anyone, maybe.
But the people who like want to aspire to that, right? Like, are there players in the market?
There's some really good people on the short side out there that are doing great work.
Like who?
Like the folks at Hindenburg, I'm a big fan of, and others. And you know, we never did the short activist model, but the work they're doing is I think, you know, the fundamental work, which is what I look at when I look at people's work, is really first rate. And so it's out there. And I've called this the golden age of fraud. So there's just so many companies, so many companies now that are playing games that are trying to take advantage of investors. So we need short sellers more than ever.
We need short sellers more than ever, but the government's cracking down on all of them, right? This ongoing investigation into activist short sellers has resulted in its first charge. I believe Anson Funds and Anson Advisors
I saw that today,
were accused of hiding payments to bearish researchers.
It was a disclosure issue, really.
It was a disclosure issue, but it's something, right?
Yeah, I think that was the issue, and we were never involved with that, and that was never part of our business model. But I think that the issue that the government was worried about in the SEC and possibly justice was disclosure. Were there people funding these things that was not disclosed, that should have been? I can argue that legally, but I think that was really what the issue was were there third parties involved in funding this that should have been disclosed or not? Yeah,
it goes back to that idea that there's a lot of ways to make money. Short selling is complicated, it's expensive, and it's certainly a risky way because your downside is unlimited. You shut down your hedge funds last year, yet given where we are in this market cycle, you say we're in the golden age of fraud. This might be a good time for short strategies in terms of performance. Do you see it getting a little bit easier to raise capital from institutional investors for short strategies?
It's harder.
No?
Yeah, and that's part of why the opportunity set is there. Nobody wants to do it. And so I think that's what's so interesting. And of course, you had the growth in the platform companies, the so-called pod shops. So a lot of short selling is done through those vehicles in terms of dollar value. They've certainly supplanted the long-short world in a major way. But with tighter risk models, so we see more volatility sometimes because those platform companies keep short positions small, and if they move against you a certain amount, you're out. But by the way, that works on the long side too.